بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وهدى وتقا ورشادا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم فقهنا في الدين وعلمنا التأويل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا تسمع. نعوذ بك اللهم من هؤلاء الأربع. أما بعد، فحياكم الله جميعا في الدرس الأول في شرح تهذيب بناء الأفعال المؤلف للشيخ نبيل بن نصار بن عبد الوهاب السندي حفظه الله. And the Sheikh who has authored this book is the Sheikh who also himself taught me Nahu and Sarf and other sciences of the Sharia as well. I lived with him for a couple of years in Mecca, and he is like an elder brother and a Sheikh. First of all, a Sheikh and also an elder brother to me. So he always has taken care of my academic progress and guided me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him with the best in the dunya and the akhirah. Tahdheeb Binaa il-Af'aal is a book that is a tahdheeb. What is a tahdheeb? Tahdheeb means it's a, you can say, not summary, and not a summary. Rather, it is a enhancement. You can say it's an enhancement of the book Binaa il-Af'aal. Tahdheeb is when you rearrange something. هذبه يهذب, rearrange it, you add something, you remove something, and you put it into order, put it in a in a way that it's easier to benefit from. So tahdheeb of any kitab is sort of, sometimes it's ikhtisar from some places you add something, some places you remove something and make it more palatable for the reader and easier for him to understand, and for the student to progress and benefit from this science of knowledge. So Tahdheeb Binaa il-Af'aal is actually a tahdheeb of the book Binaa il-Af'aal. Binaa il-Af'aal. And Binaa il-Af'aal is a book by an author who is unknown. The author of Binaa il-Af'aal is unknown, but this book has been has met wide acceptance amongst the Muslims, amongst the scholars, and because it is one might say that ilm is supposed to be taken from someone who is ma'ruf. Then the answer to this is that there are two reasons why in this case it wouldn't apply. The first reason is that it's a branch of knowledge in which misguidance is less probable. When it comes to مثلا aqidah, taking aqidah or tafsir or hadith from someone who is not known, as compared to taking lugha for someone that's not known. And the second, and that's the main reason, that is that if a work, if an academic work is the author of which is unknown, if it is approved by the scholars of one's time, the scholars of throughout the history of the Muslims, then khalas, because of the approval of the scholars, it no longer has the effect due to which the works, benefiting from the works of majahil, of people who are unknown, is not permitted. Why is it not permitted to benefit from the works of majahil, someone who is not known? Because you don't know what's going to come from him. But once the scholars have investigated, checked everything, mashallah, the content of the book, they have been teaching it, explaining it, commenting on it, etc., throughout for centuries now, and it has received the approval of all of the scholars of the Muslims. In that case, it would be okay, absolutely fine to benefit from that book, because now that the reason for which you disallowed benefiting from the books of majahil is no longer there. That is that some misguidance sort of comes into the deen of the people. طيب تهذيب بناء الأفعال. This book بناء الأفعال is related to the تصريف of الأفعال. What is تصريف? What are أفعال? inshallah in the next بإذن الله تعالى. That's what we'll start with بإذن الله تعالى. So we have these مقدمات that we will inshallah first study before moving on to the main book, that is تهذيب بناء الأفعال. So before we move on to the book, we have some مقدمات. We have some مقدمات that we will inshallah be doing. And the first of them is barakallahu fikum, the introduction to the science of Sarf. What is the science of Sarf? Then we have something that is called al-Meezan as-Sarfi. Then we have 5 classifications of fi'l that matter to us in the science of Sarf. Anything can be classified in a number of ways, but in a particular science, you only mention the classifications that benefit you in that science, in that particular science. And in the science of Sarf, these are the 5 classifications that will benefit us in addition to those mentioned in the book. Then we have some qawaid sarfiyya, some maxims and principles related to Sarf, related to how the words form and how they get altered and how different letters take places of others, etc. And finally, we have some different derivatives of the verbs, mushtaqat al-fi'l, derivatives, words that are derived from the words, and they give a particular meaning. So you're going to understand what they are, and then with each bab in each chapter, we're going to mention the mushtaqat bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. طيب, so let's first start with the introduction to the science of Sarf. لحظة. لا ما إيش هذا. Not sure what's exactly going on here. I need to use an eraser. Okay, it's not going away. طيب. طبعا throughout the course inshallah, the content of the book is in Arabic. We have it mentioned on the right in Arabic, and we have also translated on the left. So this is how inshallah we'll be going. We will be reading the Arabic, and we will, and the one on the left, that is the translation, will be available for those who are unable to understand the Arabic or a particular word in Arabic, so that they can look into the translation on the left. طيب. نريد أحدا منكم أن يقرأ يا إخوان. طيب, من يقرأ لنا؟ I want someone to read. نعم. So who will read for us inshallah? الأخ موسى أو الأخ عبد الرحمن، أحدكما يقرأ. تفضل يا أخي موسى.
التعريف بعلم الصرف.
Start with بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله، أما بعد. فقال المصنف حفظه الله التعريف بعلم الصرف.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على لا نبي بعده. قال المصنف رحمه الله التعريف بعلم الصرف.
نعم، يقال الصرف ويقال
الصرف ويقال التصريف. والتصريف لغة التعبير، التغيير، واصطلاحا تحويل الأصل الواحد إلى أبنية مختلفة للدلالة على معان مقصودة لا تحصل إلا بها. إذن علم الصرف يدرس بنية الكلمة والمعاني التي تدل عليها. أنواع الكلمة التي يدرسها علم الصرف. الواحد
الأسماء والأفعال.
والأفعال.
أحسنت، فتح الله عليك، بارك الله فيك، جزاك الله خيرا. قال هنا، ذكرنا هنا بارك الله فيكم that صرف and tasrif. What is it exactly referring to? What is this science of tasrif and what is the science of sarf? What is it? This science of sarf بارك الله فيكم is the science or what is the exact meaning of tasrif before we actually define what science of Sarf is, the meaning of tasrif, barakallahu fikum, is that taghyeer, change that is brought into the word. Any change that occurs, that is called sarf or tasrif. Tasrif يعني or tasarruf, يعني the ability to change. And this is a word that has been used in Nahu as well. يعني previously when we studied Nahu, we had a word called mamnu' min as-sarf. Why was it called mamnu' min as-sarf? يعني it is prohibited against any change. What does that mean, mamnu' min as-sarf? It actually means, and even though we said that mamnu' min as-sarf is actually referring to something that cannot take a tanween, that is an easier way to identify mamnu' min as-sarf. However, the name mamnu' min as-sarf actually comes from the following. See, normal mu'rab words like zaydun, you have zaydun, you have zaydan, you have zaydin. These are normal mu'rab words. They take the dhamma, they take the fatha, they take the kasra. When it comes to mamnu' min as-sarf, مثلا like Ibrahim, in the state of rafa, it will be Ibrahimu. State of nasb, it will be Ibrahima. Instead of jar, it will be Ibrahima again. So this inability to change, that is the inability to show a kasra in the state of jar, and inability to remove the fatha in the state of jar and show a kasra, this is what is called mamnu' min as-sarf. It's prohibited to change, it's prohibited to show the kasra, to change itself and bring the kasra. So that's why it's named as mamnu' min as-sarf. Even though we say, for simplicity, we say mamnu' min as-sarf, the one that does not have tanween. But the name does not come from here. The name does not come from tanween. The name comes from this inability to change, even though both are a reality that the mamnu' min as-sarf cannot have a tanween and it cannot have a kasra in the state of jar. طيب. ثم ذكر هنا قال اصطلاحا, in the terminology, in our context, when we say the science of sarf, what is it referring to? It's referring to تحويل الأصل الواحد إلى أبنية مختلفة. تحويل means to transform, to change, to alter one asl. Asl means the very same root, it's being altered. Little changes are being made in that root. إلى أبنية مختلفة. You are transforming that same root into أبنية, structures. مختلفة, different structures. للدلالة, to give new meanings, to suggest, to denote different meanings that are intended. للدلالة على معان مقصودة, to give meanings, particular meanings. And you're changing the structure of a word to give another meaning similar to it, a particular meaning. لا تحصل إلا بها. And these different meanings cannot be expressed except in this way, except by changing the structure of the word and saying it. And this will become clear with an example. And we'll come back to the last two lines after we clarify the statement of the ta'rif of sarf. You see, if you look at مثلا, let us say alima, right? What are the root letters of this word alima? Now, can someone tell me what are the root letters, the three root letters of alima? That's pretty simple, I suppose.
Ayn, lam, and mim.
أحسنت, عين لام and mim. طيب, عين لام and mim, generally they are related to knowledge, right? عين لام mim are related to knowledge. طيب لحظة, 1 second. عين لام ميم is related to knowledge. طيب, you say علم. What is the meaning of علم يا أخي? Can someone tell me the meaning of علم?
Is it related to teaching or learning?
Learning. He knew. He got to know. علم, and he got to know. طيب. Now I make a slight change in علم. And for that reason, let us just a little bit, if we can zoom in a little bit so that we can view this table even better. Now, if I make a little bit of a change in alima, and instead of saying alima, I say ya'lamu. Now, it was fi'al madi, it was referring to the past tense earlier. Now, when I say ya'lamu, and there is a slight change, I added a ya, and I changed the haraka of the ain, and made it sukoon, and put a fatha on the lam, and dhamma. Alima became ya'lamu. What happened now? What is the meaning of ya'lamu?
So it changed from knew to know.
Ahsan, it changed from knew to know, yani from past tense to present or future tense. So مثلا alima means he knew, ya'lamu means he knows, or he's knowing, or he will know, depending on the context and what you use along with it. You see? Now I changed the same root letters, I changed them and I alter them to alimun. Now what is an alimun? What is it referring to? Is it referring to the action now? Or is it referring to someone else?
Someone else.
What is it referring to now?
To a teacher. I think
To the person who has knowledge, to the person of knowledge. Now, first it was the action. The same root letters were referring to the action of knowing. Now, the root letters with these changes that have occurred, that we put an alif, we put a tanween. Now what happened? It's referring to the person who has knowledge. Type. Now let us change the root letters and their arrangement and the additions to it a little bit more, and let's come up with another word that is ma'loom. What is the meaning of ma'loom?
Having information about something.
Having information is to know, that is you're referring to the action, but ma'loom is referring to the very information that is known. يعني هذا أمر معلوم. أمر معلوم, this is something that is known. هذا أمر معلوم. It is a matter that is known. But if you say هذا رجل عالم, this is a person of knowledge, the person who knows. هذا أمر معلوم, this is a matter that is known. You see how a little bit of change in the structure is changing the meaning? That's what we intend to learn from this table. It's not that I want you to be able to make these changes by yourself and to be able to master all of these awzan. Right now that's not the purpose here. The intention here is just to realize how slight changes in the word can change the meaning altogether. طيب. علم, that's the mastar. What's the meaning of علم?
Knowledge.
Knowledge itself. Now the knowledge itself is called علم. طيب. Now we have something that is mastar mimi, which also means knowledge. Ma'lam, it's something that is you're not familiar with perhaps. Then we have ism zaman and makan. Ma'lam, the place of knowledge or the time of knowledge, the place of where knowledge is being spread, or the time at which the dars matan takes place is the ma'lam matan. Then we have mi'lam, ism al-ala, or mi'lam or mi'lama, etc. Ism al-ala, the tool with which you seek knowledge, etc., for which you can use these awzan, mi'lam, mi'lam, mi'lam. So now the same root letters, that is ain, lam, mim, with a host of different awzan, we can just play around and give different meanings altogether for the same root letter. Now as-sifa al-mushabbah alim, the person who is is knowledgeable, and it's one of his essential characteristics that he's knowledgeable. That's the person who's alim. You see? So now how it's changing, we'll scroll down a little bit and you will realize then alam. Alam is the sigha mubalagha. Sigha mubalagha means someone who is very, very knowledgeable. Alam. Allah is alamul ghuyub. He is the most knowledgeable, or that's a very superlative degree of being knowledgeable about the ghaib, about the unseen matters. So alamul ghuyub. You see, now this is what we wanted to learn from this table, that how the same root letters, when they undergo particular changes, they give new meanings altogether. They give you different meanings. And that's what we intend to learn here. So we're going to learn the changes that are occurring vertically, and we're also going to learn, inshallah, the changes that are occurring horizontally. And now let us just move on and notice and observe a little bit about the changes that are occurring horizontally. So مثلا alima became allama. It's not very much visible here because of the table. The borderline is covering the shadda, but it's allama. Now, who knows what's the difference between alima and allama?
I'm not sure, Ustad.
Labas, labas. Alima means to know. Allama means to teach. Alima means to know. Allama means to teach. واضح يا إخوان? Now see how just putting a shadda on lam and doubling the lam, how it changes the meaning from knowing to teaching. Likewise, يعلم, علم means he taught. يعلم, he's teaching. معلم, he's a teacher. معلم is the one being taught. تعليم is the process and the فعل of teaching. معلم again المعلم etc. إلى آخر ذلك. طيب. Now we add a ta to it and we say تعلم. What's the meaning of تعلم? If علم is teaching, تعلم is
learning.
Learning. أحسنت. So alima was knowing. It's not learning. Alima was just to know something. But learning is a process that requires a bit of effort. So when you are performing an action that requires a bit of an effort, that's when we have more letters in the wording. So we have ta'allama. Alima simple, with no additives, with no additions. So alima to know, allama to teach, ta'allama to learn, because it requires effort. Now ta'allama means he learned. Yata'allamu, he is learning. Muta'allimun, the learner. Muta'allamun, thing that he is learning. Ta'allumun, the process of learning itself, etc. Right. Now we have a little bit of more changes to make, and we have something that is called ta'alama. Right. Ta'alama, what does ta'alama mean? Ta'alama means to pretend to know. To pretend to know. Now, as if he's pretending as if he knows and he has knowledge about something while he does not. So muta'alim, we say about people who act and pretend to be knowledgeable while they are ignorant people, we call them muta'alim. Muta'alim means like a person who's pretending to be knowledgeable while he's not. So now again, a slight change in the word caused the meaning to change. So we have ta'alama, meaning he pretended to know, or he pretended and he showed that he had knowledge. Yata'alamu, he is pretending. Muta'alimun, he is the pretender to have knowledge. Muta'alamun, muta'alumun, ila akhir dhalik. But ista'lama, ista'lama, when you add the alif, sin, and ta, it means that you are asking and seeking something. So ista'lama means to seek knowledge, not seek knowledge in the sense that seeking knowledge the way we do that, talab al-ilm. No, seeking knowledge means here it means seeking information. So you might, and if you go to some places where you have Arabic signs in a hotel, mathalan, which has some Arabic signs, you will have on the reception there might be a place where it would say isti'lamat. Isti'lamat yani any queries that you would have, any questions that you would like to ask, istifsar or isti'lam. So isti'lam means to know, to seek to know about something, to seek to know about something. So ista'lama, he asked for knowledge. Yasta'limu, he is asking and seeking information. Musta'limun, the seeker of information. Musta'lamun, the matter that he is seeking the information about. Isti'lam, the very process of seeking the information. Ila akhiri dhalik. So these are the sort of changes that occur in the af'al and how the meanings get affected. And that is why, ya ikhwan, huna ذكر, he says that إذن علم الصرف, hence علم الصرف يدرس, it studies two things. Studies structure of the word and the meanings that are suggested by that structure. The meanings denoted by the structure. This is important. Both things are important. Sometimes Sarf is taught to us and we only learn the awzan. We don't learn the meanings that are denoted by those awzan. So that is not the right way to learn Sarf. The right way of learning Sarf, ya ikhwan, is to learn the awzan, the different structures. By wazn, we are referring to the different patterns, different structures, different scales, and to also learn the meanings that are denoted by those different awzan. The meanings that are denoted by those different awzan. طيب. ثم قال أنواع الكلمة التي يدرسها علم الصرف الأسماء والأفعال. يعني first of all, how many types of words are there in Arabic? الكلمة ثلاثة أقسام. الاسم والفعل والحرف. أحسنت بارك الله فيك. الاسم والفعل والحرف. So Sarf studies two types of words. It's ism and fi'l. So the ism also undergoes changes, and with the changes that it undergoes, the meanings change. مثلا, there is an ism that says katib. Katib means the writer. You make it katibani, it's two writers. Kuttabun, many writers. Katibun, also many writers. Kuwaitib, a small writer. Katibiyun, it's a nasab, yani it's being attributed to a person who writes. Likewise, ardun, land. Ardan, two lands. Aradi, many lands. Aradun, kadhalik, many lands. Urayda, a small land. Ardiyun, a person who is attributed to the ard. Then we have qalam. Qalamani, two pens. Aqlam, many pens. Qulaymun, a small pen. Qalamiyun, someone who is being attributed to a pen. So you see how the differences that occur, the way the ism alters, it will give a new meaning each time. Something that we want to clarify before we start the book, we say وفي هذا الكتاب ندرس تصريف الأفعال فقط لا تصريف الأسماء. In this book, we will only be studying the tasrif of أفعال, which is the more important part, which is the more important section of Sarf. And this book only has tasrif of أفعال and does not contain the tasrif of asma. So we'll be learning the tasrif of أفعال, not the tasrif of asma. واضح يا إخوان in this book. So that's what we'll be focusing on. So this is the science of Sarf يا إخوان. This is the science of Sarf. Science of Sarf studies, once again يا إخوان, structure of the word and the meaning denoted by that structure. The structure of the word and the meaning denoted by that structure. And subhanallah, if you learn the science of Sarf, the pleasure that you get from then listening to the Quran and reading the tafasir is unmatchable. Something that cannot be imagined, subhanallah. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used a particular pattern for a verb here and why not in some other place? مثلا, one example of this is usually given is مثلا the ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, مثلا لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. طيب, what does this ayah mean? لها يعني for the soul, لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. لها ما كسبت, the soul, it will get the reward for what it earned. كسبت. وعليها, and it will be punished for what it earned. But this time, the word كسبت was not used. It was اكتسبت. So there are additional letters here. We have an extra alif, hamzat al-wasl, and we have an extra ta. كسبت and اكتسبت. Why do we have these extra words here? Because when the punishment is only given when you carry out the fi'l, When you carry out the fi'l, or you tried your best to do the fi'l, but you failed for some other reason, and you're sad about it, that's when you get the punishment. But when it comes to the reward, you get it rather easily. Even if you have made the niyyah for it, you get a reward. Once you do it, you get it, the reward tenfold to 700 times. إلى أضعاف كثيرة. إلى أضعاف كثيرة. So that's why when it came to the reward, Allah mentioned kasabat, something that you earn. But he didn't mention earning with lots of effort. But when it comes to the punishment, he says, وَعَلَيْهَا, the punishment for the soul will be according to what it earned. And he used a pattern that denotes putting effort, exerting effort. اكتسبت. Why? Because mere intention of doing something, or mere thought of doing it, or intention of doing it, and then you don't do it, this wouldn't make you subject to Allah's punishment. You see? So you'll be subject to Allah's punishment when it will be iktasaba, when you will actually have done it, and even then you only get one sin for that. Now, so then right now it's time for prayer here in Salat al-Isha. Inshallah نكمل بعد صلاة العشاء بإذن الله تعالى. فنقف هنا الآن ونكمل بعد الصلاة بإذن الله. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طيب، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. ثم بعد، فوقفنا عند تعريف الصرف. علم الصرف said it is the science, the Arabic science that studies the structure of the word and the different meanings that are denoted by that structure of the word, and the different meanings that are denoted by that structure. طيب، الآن ننتقل إلى شيء آخر، مسألة أخرى, and this will be the last مسألة that we will inshallah mention today. Apologies for the delay of coming back from the salah. Took me a little bit of a while. نعم. Inshallah, this will be the last مسألة that we will be discussing بإذن الله تعالى today. This is al-Meezan as-Sarfi. al-Meezan as-Sarfi. طيب، تقرأ يا أخي موسى. Will you be able to read? inshallah.
inshallah أستاذ.
نعم، تفضل.
الميزان الصرفي. الميزان الصرفي هو طريقة للتعبير عن وزن الفعل، أي مواضع الحروف الأصلية والحروف الزائدة في الفعل، ويعبر عن وزن الفعل بالميزان الصرفي بوضع الفاء في موضع الحرف الأصلي الأول فاء الفعل، العين في موضع الحرف الأصلي الثاني عين الفعل، اللام في موضع الحرف الأصلي الثالث لام الفعل، فإن وجد حرف أصلي رابع فإنه يوضع مكانه اللام أيضا. وأما الحروف الزائدة فإنها تبقى كما هي.
أحسنت. هنا ذكر قال الميزان الصرفي. الميزان الصرفي or the Sarfi scale, the Sarf scale. Scale is why is it called Meezan? Because Meezan is something that is used to weigh things, to express the weight of things. Here we express the wazn, the weight, and that's not actually the weight, it's actually the pattern, the patterns that are called awzan. So a way to express the weights and the patterns and the scales and the structures of a particular word, this is one way that we do so. That is al-Meezan as-Sarfi. What do we do in Meezan as-Sarfi? It says هو طريقة للتعبير, to express the wazn of a fi'l. Wazn means the pattern of a fi'l. What is the pattern of a fi'l? It says أي مواضع الحروف الأصلية والحروف الزائدة في الفعل. It is a way to express the positions and places of root letters, حروف أصلية, and additional letters. حروف زائدة. So we have root letters, we have additional letters in the fi'l. How do you use this Meezan Sarfi to tell a person where the additional letters are and where the root letters are? He says, وَيُعَبَّرُ عَنْ وَزْنِ الْفِعْلِ بِالْمِيزَانِ الصَّرْفِ بِوَضْعِ, by putting a fa in the place of the first root letter. Al-harf al-asli al-awwal. First root letter, you put in place of it a fa. And this is called the first root letter. It's a name for it is fa'ul fi'l. The name for it is fa'ul fi'l. Yani you can say the first root letter, you can say al-harf al-asli al-awwal, and you can say fa'ul fi'l. They both mean the same thing. Fa'ul fi'l yani the first root letter. The fa of the fi'l, yani the first root letter. Al-ayn fi mawdi' al-harf al-asli al-thani. You put an ayn in the place of the second root letter, which is also called aynul fi'li. Second root letter is also called aynul fi'l. Because usually the roots they consist of 3 letters. So it's usually 3 letters that we require. Al-lam fi mawdi' al-harf al-asli al-thalith. Put a lam in the place of the third root letter. And the third root letter is also called as lam al-fi'l, also known as lam al-fi'l. فَإِن وُجِدَ, if in case there is a 4th root letter as well, which is also not very uncommon. There are a lot of af'al, a lot of words that have more than 3 root letters. So if there is 4th or 5th root letter, then you also put in place of it a lam. طيب فإنه يوضع مكانه اللام أيضا. You also put a lam in place of it. وأما الحروف الزائدة, as for the additional letters, they remain the way they are. طيب لحظة. طيب الآن يا شباب, قاتل. Who will tell me what are the root letters, the 3 root letters of قاتل?
قاف
قاتل, قاف, نعم.
تاء
التاء, نعم.
واللام.
واللام, أحسنت. القاف والتاء واللام. القاف والتاء واللام. طيب الآن السؤال, بارك الله فيكم. If you want to express this in the Meezan Sarf, the first root letter you put in place of it what? What letter will you put in place of the first root letter? And I want to express the wazn of it. I want to express what pattern is it on about. So the root letters will be replaced by these, by the fa, by the ayn, by the lam. So what will I put in place of the qaf?
Fa.
Fa, ahsant. What about the alif? Will I put something on the place of alif?
I don't think so.
Ahsant. Why? Because it's an additional letter. It's not a root letter. The brother said the root letters were qaf, ta, and lam. So the alif is supposed to be left the way it is. Okay. What will I put in place of the ta?
Ayn.
Al-ayn. Ahsant. طيب. And what will I put in place of the lam?
Lam.
Al-lam. Ahsant. Then this is the way to express the wazn of qatil. So you will say, yani in Sarf, you will say, yani in the terminology of Sarf, you will say qatil ala wazn fa'il. It's on the wazn of fa'il. Qatil ala wazn fa'il. When you say so, the listener will right away understand. He will right away grasp that, oh, okay. So the qaf is the root letter, the ta and the lam, because fa'il lam. So you say qatil is ala wazn fa'il. Qatilun ala wazni fa'il. Qatil ala wazn fa'il. طيب. Maqtul, the one who is killed. طيب. What are the root letters of maqtul?
Qaf, ta, lam.
Qaf, ta, lam. How will you express it in the Meezan Sarfi? How will you express it? By replacing the root letters with fa, ayn, and lam. What will you say? How will you pronounce that word? مقتول على وزن
مفعول.
أحسنت. مقتول على وزن مفعول. مقتول على وزن مفعول. طيب now is a difficult one. الرجال يدعون. طبعا let's just ignore this for now. Let's come to مثلا يذهبون. يذهبون. What are the root letters of يذهبون?
ذا الهاء باء.
لا الهاء الباء. طيب how will you express this in الميزان الصرفي? It's on the wazn of يذهبون is on the wazn of
يفعلون.
يفعلون. What did you do? All that you did was that replace the ذال with a fa, ha with an ain, and ba with a lam. That's it. يذهبون يفعلون. يذهبون يفعلون. أحسنت. طيب if I ask you مثلا كتبوا. كتبوا. What are the root letters in كتبوا?
كاف تاء وباء.
كاف تاء باء. طيب in الميزان الصرفي how will you express it? It's on the wazn of
فعلوا.
نعم. فعلوا. كتبوا على وزن فعلوا. عرفتم؟ طيب لو قلت لك مثلا let me give another example. مثلا سرير. سرير is a bed. What do you think are the root letters in سرير? It's the feeling. I know that you don't have any background of extracting the root letters, but it's a feeling. From the feeling you get that the vowel letters usually are not the root letters, something else. So what do you feel are the root letters? You give it a try. You have 4 letters. Tell me 3 of them which you feel are the root letters.
Sin and the 2 rows.
Sin, ra, and ra. أحسنت. طيب. So if you say in the Meezan Sarfi, what is the wazn of Sarir? You will say it's on the wazn of
فعيل.
فعيل. أحسنت. طيب. Let us say بارك الله فيكم. Let us say مكتبة. مكتبة. What are the root letters of مكتبة?
I think someone else should try it.
كاف تاء باء.
كاف تاء باء. بارك الله فيك. So what will be the expression of مكتبة in الميزان الصرفي? مكتبة. لا مكتبة. replace the كاف تاء باء with the فاء عين اللام.
مفعلة.
أحسنت. مكتبة مفعلة. مكتبة مفعلة. عرفتم؟ طيب نأتي الآن إلى مثلا let me give you a little difficult one, a little bit difficult. سيارة. What do you think are the root letters of سيارة?
سيارة.
نعم. What are the root letters of سيارة? Give it a try. سيارة, the root letters, okay, let me tell you, are the sin, ya, and ra. سيارة. سيارة. sin, ya, ra. So the wazn of سيارة would be in الميزان الصرفي.
سين.
صحيح. سين يا را. سين يا and را. را. صحيح. بس أنا أسأل يعني what will be the, how will you express it in الميزان الصرفي? سيارة.
فعل.
أحسنت فتح الله عليك. نقول فعالة سيارة فعالة. طيب, let me give you an absolutely random one. Let us say, let me give you something strange. So that we could determine whether it is becoming second nature to you or not yet. طيب, let me give you some name that is not Arabic. Something in English. Let us say, any name in English. Let us say Michael. طيب. Michael. طيب. Yalla, let's see if you can do this. Michael, what do you think will be the root letters of Michael if we just imagine it to be an Arabic name? Or how will you put it in Meezan Sarfi?
مايكل.
نعم, كيف تكتب بالميزان الصرفي هذا؟
مايكل.
يعني فاعل لام, put فاعل لام in letters that you think are يعني the حروف أصل. You can say, you can think of I don't know, مفعل. I was thinking of فاعل. This is just like, just trying to do it, just فاعل. This is when you reach an extent of, get a lot of practice, then the teachers start giving you some English words, foreign words, just need to become accustomed to it. Right. Now, here we had more examples of something that was very difficult. يدعون. And this was mentioned in particular to explain something in Mizan Safi. There is, يا أخي, that يدعون, الرجال يدعون, that the men are calling. Actually, يدعون was supposed to be like this. يدعون. Just like يفعلون, it was supposed to be يدعون. But what happened, because we had two vowels connecting with each other, so we had to drop one off. We don't say يدعون تفعل. We have to drop one vowel, that is the vowel that was part of the fi'l, because we can't have two vowels connecting. يدعون. Why? I'll tell you later on, because يدعون, the vowel cannot have a dhamma because it's thaqil, it's heavy on the vowel, so that they say that it cannot have a dhamma. So in Arabic, if you put two sukoons together, iltiqa as-sakinain, this is not possible. This must be avoided. Two sukoons meeting together, so you had to get rid of one. Which one did you get rid of? You got rid of the one that was part of the fi'l. عرفتم؟ طيب. الآن يا شباب, the fi'l that was يدعو, and واو نون is addition. So this is the fa'ul fi'l, dal. Ain is the ain al-fi'l, and waw was the lam al-fi'l. We remove the lam al-fi'l, and we are left with something that is يدعون. سؤال, what is the wazn of يدعون? And you have to make sure that you don't mention the lam here. You will say the wazn of يدعون is يفعون. Why? Because the lam of the fi'l was deleted, it was omitted, it was taken away. So we'll say يفعون because the lam was mahdoof for whatever reason. Right now, the point is not to learn why the lam was mahdoof. Right now, I want you to focus on learning that when a part of the root letter is mahdoof, it's omitted, then you also have to omit it from the Meezan Sarf. You cannot keep saying يدعون يفعلون. لا, يفعون. You have to put it the way it is. You have to put it the way it is. That's the point that we want to teach here. Likewise, in an-nisa'u yad'una, it's actually on the wazn of, yani yad'u is the fi'l, and the noon is called noon an-niswa, the noon of the women. This is for the female, feminine plural. Now here, the wazn of the whole thing will be yaf'ulna, yaf'ulna. You see? So in pronunciation, both are the same. An-nisa'u yad'una, ar-rijalu yad'una. Both are same in pronunciation. But their wazn is, their awzan are, quite apart. Because for the ar-rijal, it was supposed to be yad'uvuna with the waw al-jama'a, and the waw of the asl kalima was removed, and we were left with only one waw. So we said yaf'una. On the other hand, it was yad'una here on the wazn of yaf'ulna for the women. So the point that I want to teach you here is not what the origin of yad'una for rijal is and what the origin of yad'una for nisa is. The point that we want to teach here is that in al-Meezan as-Sarfi, we express the root letters the way they are in the fi'l. And we express the root letters by replacing them with fa, ayn, and lam. And if one of the root letters happens to be not mentioned, then in that case, we will not mention the corresponding fa, ayn, or lam in accordance with it. We will not mention the corresponding fa, ayn, and lam in accordance with it. And the additional letters, they remain the way they are. They remain the way they are. And inshallah, as we progress through these muqaddimat and other matters as well, inshallah, you will further learn about these awzan, and it will become more clear and easier for you to manage, inshallah. From the next class onwards, we will start the classifications of fi'l. The first classification will be fi'l madi, mudari', amr, which is a very famous one. And then inshallah, we will move on to the other classifications of fi'l that matter to us in the science of Sarf. فإذا هنا نقف ونكتفي بهذا القدر، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. If someone has any question, they can ask. بارك الله فيكم.
جزاك الله خيرا أستاذ.
بارك الله فيكم. And are very one of the very bright students that we have, the 3-4 students who always participate, they couldn't come today, most of them, because this is the last day for the Nahu assessment, so they are busy perhaps doing the Nahu assessment, or maybe they have some other commitments. So inshallah, in the next class it will be more interactive and more enjoyable bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, because they will also join with us inshallah. The next class, which is going to be tomorrow bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. طيب يقول هنا الأخ أويس to this class. It's supposed to be 5:45, but Sheikh carried on because topic was not dealt with properly. ما شاء الله. لا أنت كنت في خير إن شاء الله. كنت في خير. موفق يا أخي. بارك الله فيك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.